Hey everybody, it's Pete Toll, aka PT Sports 84, back with another NBA 2K23 official roster update. Today, 2K released the second ratings update for NBA 2K23. Man, so going through it, there's some questionable decisions for some teams I'll get into as I go, but let's jump right into it. Um, Changes right off the bat. Joel Embiid +1 to a 96 overall. As everybody knows, he averaged basically 40 points a game over the last few games. So really impressive. I think the best way to look at these is looking at stats from November the 3rd to November the essentially, I would say the 15th because they don't really count games from yesterday, which was the 16th. They don't add those into any kind of update that they do. So really the 3rd through the 15th because they don't count the 3rd since it was released on the Thursday the 3rd. They don't count those games from the 2nd either. So really the 2nd to the 15th, you could say, ratings update. Where are the Miami City uniforms? I know that they know about it, but usually what happens is the patch that comes out in December usually resolves that for everybody. Where you can get them in a MyNBA, you can get them in existing saves, stuff like that. So hang tight until the December, end of November, early December patch. Usually that's when they add all the jerseys available to existing saves, other modes, all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure why they can't do it before that, but who knows. But let's go back into the update. Yeah, roughly dopey music, roughly 2 weeks or so till we get the updates. The week after Thanksgiving, I'd expect a patch update somewhere in that range. Maybe the week after, relatively around that time. Look at the NBA 2K, what do you call it? The seasons update. Look how many days are left on that, and then subtract a day or two because I'm not sure if the update will come out on that Wednesday or Thursday. But say there's actually we can look at it. So um, where's that little counter? There's like a counter somewhere. Um, where's like the little season? Oh, 15 days left. So there's 15 days, so roughly 13 days until the update. 13 or 14. I don't know if they'll put it out on a Wednesday again or they're going to go with the traditional Thursday patch update. The new season starts in 15 days, which is a Friday. So 2 weeks basically from today. So that makes a better explanation. Anyway, let's get back into the update. So Joel Embiid +1, 96 overall. James Harden got his position updated to shooting guard. Didn't go up in rating or anything, but they had moved silently in a previous update without telling anybody. They had moved Tyrese Maxey to point guard in that update, so they didn't bother to say anything or anything like that. So I thought that was interesting that they did that without saying anything. But anyway, when they did that, it messed it up to where, like, if you started a My Career, like if you did a rebirth for your character or anything like that, D'Anthony Melton was the starting shooting guard, and then the sixth man was Tyrese Maxey, which was super weird. But anyway, PJ Tucker goes -1 to a 76, +1 for Montrezl Harrell, -1 for Matisse Thybulle to a 75. Georges Niang goes +1 to a 75. We've got Shake Milton going -1 to a 73, +1 for Daniel House to a 73. So the Sixers overall, as you can see, reasonably balanced, I guess. I still would have had Tucker, even though he dropped a one, I would have had him, at a 78 to begin with, to drop only to a 77, but I can nitpick all day on those. I'm not going to waste time. There, Grayson Allen goes +1 for the Milwaukee Bucks. Javon Carter gets the position change to point guard, back to point guard. He was there previously, +3 to a 75 overall. So, he's been playing well coming into this one, so he gets rewarded there. Marjan Beauchamp goes +1 to a 72 overall. And then a position change for Sandro Mamakalashvili to center. He's back at center, playing limited minutes there. The Chicago Bulls, interesting. No update for DeMar DeRozan, but Zach LaVine goes -1 to an 87. Nikola Vucevic goes -1 to an 82. Ayu Dosunmu goes -1 to a 76. Alex Caruso, no ratings change, but a position change back to shooting guard. Goran Dragic goes +1 to a 76. +2 for Derek Jones Jr. to a 76 as well. I kind of think he could have updated his position to small forward, as he can kind of play that hybrid forward role, but I'm not going to nitpick that they didn't change it. I thought that Donovan Mitchell would go up one, but I guess because of the injury, he didn't really get, nothing happened to him. Changes for the team, though. Karis LeVert goes -1 to a 78. Dean Wade -1 to a 75. Cedi Osman -1 to a 74. And then Lamar Stevens -1 to a 74 as well. No change, oddly enough, for Isaac Okoro, who's been absolutely awful. I thought he could go down a little bit in the update, but nothing for him. We go over to the Boston Celtics. Jason Tatum, position change to small forward, +1 for him, 95 overall. Jaylen Brown, no rating change, but a position change to shooting guard. Then Malcolm Brogdon, position change to point guard for him. Biggest mover on the team was Grant Williams. Or actually, I take that back. Largest overall that got changed other than Tatum is Williams at a 78. Blake Griffin, -1 to a 75. Then we've got Luke Cornett as the biggest mover, +4 to a 74 overall. And then +1 for Sam Hauser in this update. I thought Sam Hauser could potentially get the 74 and then Cornett a 72, but I really don't know what 2K goes off of. As we go further down into teams, you'll see where my rant's going to come in. I have a specific team that I'm going to rant about, actually 2 teams that I'm going to rant about. Paul George, 89 overall, +1. I thought they'd change his position to small forward since we don't know a timetable for Kawhi, but I can understand it, I guess, to a degree, because if you play my career, then Kawhi starts over Paul George, so maybe they didn't want to make that change. Marcus Morris Sr., +1 to a 78. -2 for Norman Powell to a 76. A little surprised there. I missed one actually in my notes. There's -1 for Robert Covington. Let me change that real quick. I just noticed that he was updated. We've got Norman Powell, like I said, 76 overall. They increased Terrence Mann in this update, +1 to a 76. Luke Kennard goes down again. There's certain players that I've noticed that 2K really hits hard when they update, and then certain players that they just favor. Like, there's no way around it. Like, it's obvious at this point. Like, Luke Kennard, Doug McDermott, Killian Hayes, those guys, as soon as anything happens, they get hit hard. But then you see guys like Klay Thompson never gets touched. You see guys like Keita Bates-Diop go up drastically. Like, it's weird. Like, super weird on how they pick guys overall. Nick Batum goes -2 and then to a 74, and then Amir Coffey goes -1 to a 74. Memphis Grizzlies didn't really get many changes at all. Looking at them, Dylan Brooks goes -1 to a 79. Santi Aldama goes +3 to a 77. He's the biggest mover on the team. What's odd is now Aldama will be the backup power forward, and he's a 77. But then Brandon Clark has been playing really well, and he doesn't get an update. That doesn't make sense to me at all. This is one where I have a gripe. Not the 2 teams that I wanted to talk about. One that I had a gripe. Clint Capella doesn't move at all, right? So he gets dropped -3 last time, but since the last update, he's averaging 15 points a game, 16 rebounds on 65% shooting, and he's an 81 overall. But then they touch John Collins, and they drop him -2 to an 81 overall, right? They drop Trae Young -1 to an 89. They don't touch DeJounte Murray. They don't increase him at all. They increase Onyeka Okongwu +1 to a 77, but they don't touch DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre Hunter should be a 78. His defense has been really consistent so far this year. AJ Griffin gets a position change to small forward. He also goes +2 to a 74. Aaron Holiday goes -1 to a 73. Justin Holiday, position change to shooting guard. And then Jalen Johnson goes -1 to a 72. I'm never really like that critical of 2K when it comes to updates, but I just don't understand. Guys like DeAndre Hunter never get touched. Like Clint Capella obviously has played well. He doesn't even get a little bump at all. Like, but you know John Collins has struggled lately, but there's no update for Clint Capella. It just baffles me. Update for the Miami Heat, Max Strus +2 to a 78. Dwayne Dedman +1 to a 75. -1 for Caleb Martin. What's up, Reginaldo? Thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm sorry I didn't say that previous, but appreciate everybody tuning in, all the regulars. I see you guys in there, so appreciate everybody tuning in. No update for Gabe Vincent, even though he's been playing well, kind of as a starter. He's been averaging 14 points in 31 minutes, so I figured he would go up a little bit, maybe a point or two, but I guess not. I guess 2K decided something different. The Charlotte Hornets, -2 for Terry Rozier, +1 for Kelly Oubre to a 79, -1 for PJ Washington, +1 for Mason Plumlee and Nick Richards, both now a 77 overall. I thought maybe James Bouknight would get a small tweak, even if it wasn't really a ratings change, but nothing for him. Teo Maledon goes -1 to a 72. I've got to double check my notes before I posted these on Operation Sports already, but I failed to take out a couple players from last update, because basically what I do to quicken things is use the last update and just copy and paste the new players in, so it makes it quicker to see who changed and who didn't. The Utah Jazz, another big move for Lauri Markkanen, +3 to an 85. Yeah, I really got to update these. +3, I'm sorry, for Jordan Clarkson. +1 for Colin Sexton. +2 for Jared Vanderbilt. +1 for Kelly Olynyk. +1 for Malik Beasley. And then +2 for Taylor Horton, or +3 for Taylor Horton Tucker. +1 for Walker Kessler. So really a lot of changes pretty much in this range for the Utah Jazz. No update for Mike Conley, though. Sacramento Kings, +1 for De'Aaron Fox, +1 for Domantas Sabonis, +1 for Kevin Huerter, +2 for Malik Monk, +1 for Terrence Davis, -2 for Davion Mitchell, and then -1 for Trey Lyles. So they're trying to balance out the team overall. I thought that Keegan Murray may go down 1, but he didn't get touched. The New York Knicks. Interesting update here. +2 for Jalen Brunson. -1 for RJ Barrett. +1 for Julius Randle. +2 for Obi Toppin. Derrick Rose takes a big hit. -4 for him in this one. Then we've got Emmanuel Quickley goes +1. Isaiah Hartenstein +1. Cam Reddish gets a position change to shooting guard. No rating change. -1 for Evan Fournier. +2 for Jericho Sims to a 73. Quentin Grimes gets a position update as well. So Knicks get quite a few updates here to kind of balance them out. LeBron James for the Lakers finally gets a position update. Of course he doesn't get a ratings decrease. Not going to happen with King James. 2K values King James too much to reduce him at all. Like, it's just a known thing now. Like, I just don't get it. I mean, he would have to shoot 12% from the floor for them to even change anything, like, at this point. And even then, I think they'd keep him at a 96. I just don't get it. +1 for Anthony Davis. Finally, Westbrook goes +2 to a 79. Position change for Patrick Beverley to point guard. Lonnie Walker finally gets his update. He should have been updated last time. He goes to a 77 +2. Oddly enough, in this update, I thought it was really weird. Troy Brown Jr. doesn't even get touched, right? But then Damian Jones gets touched, and he goes +1. Like, I don't understand what is happening here with that. Position change for Wenyen Gabriel, and then a +1 for Max Christie. This is another one that kind of baffles me. Orlando Magic. Okay, so you have Banchero that's been out, right? So Banchero obviously doesn't need an update because he's been out with the sprained ankle. Franz Wagner's been starting at the 2. Bobo's been at the 3. Or you could argue that Chuma Okeke has been at the 3. However you want to put it. Jalen Suggs has been the point guard. None of these positions get updated. Just don't get it. Like 81 overall for Franz Wagner +1. Bobo gets a +3 to a 79. No update for Wendell Carter. Jalen Suggs gets a +1 to a 77. RJ Hampton somehow goes +3 to a 76 overall. Even though he's out of the rotation and not playing, he goes to a 76. Terrence Ross, position change to small forward. Chuma Okeke to a 75. He goes +2. And then Caleb Houston gets changed to a small forward shooting guard. Minimal changes for the Dallas Mavericks. Tim Hardaway Jr. and Josh Green swap positions, as well as Tim Hardaway going -1, Josh Green going +1. Spencer Dinwiddie +2 to an 82 overall, and then somehow Reggie Bullock doesn't go down in overall, but Maxi Kleber does. Reggie Bullock has been awful this year, and he doesn't go down at all in overall. I don't get it. Neither does JaVale McGee. It just, I don't know at this point. Like, I mean, what are you gonna do as a consumer? Like, you could just complain and that's it. Like, because obviously the feedback doesn't really do anything because defensive ratings, athletic ratings do not matter in this game for a ratings update. They just don't matter. Like, plain and simple, they don't matter. It's all about what easy stats can we change, and that's the extent of it. In the last 2 years, that's been what's happening. Like, there's no updates to defensive ratings at all. There's no update to speed and athleticism and stamina, like, hardly at all. Like, there's been minimal, like, 3-4 players, but come on. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Nick Claxton, big mover in this one, 79 overall +3. No update to Kyrie Irving to a point guard because for those that don't know, Ben Simmons is no longer a point guard for this Brooklyn Nets team. He's playing backup center and backup power forward. He subs in for Nick Claxton. He goes -2, but he gets no position update. Edmund Sumner has been the point guard for this team. He goes +1 to a 76. Cam Thomas +2 to a 76. Joe Harris switches over to shooting guard, position change. He goes -1. Now let's look at this for what it is. Kyrie, Seth Curry, Cam Thomas, Edmund Sumner, all higher in overall than starter Joe Harris. What does that mean? Joe Harris is never going to see the floor in my career. And he'll likely get cut from the team or traded. So Kyrie should move to point guard. And then you got Sumner to point guard, Simmons to center, and that would resolve things. You'd have Curry, Thomas, and Harris battling for the position of starter, in my career, essentially. Yuta Watanabe gets an updated position to power forward center. He also goes +2 in overall to a 74. Interesting enough, also a 74 is Royce O'Neal. Like, just, I don't know at this point, man. Like, and I've always been a 2K defender as far as, hey, give him a chance, like this, and this. But at this point, if we're not going to update the defense, speed, athleticism ratings, then why are we even having rating updates? To change 5 rating categories? That doesn't make sense. I don't understand. Going +1 for the Denver Nuggets, Aaron Gordon. We've got Kentavious Caldwell-Pope going +2. Bones Highland +1 to a 77. -1 for Jeff Green. Christian Brown gets a position change to small forward. Devon Reed to a 71. He changed positions last update. What's weird is, so they update Christian Brown, right, to a small forward, but then they don't do anything with Bones Highland, who's essentially the 2 guard, and then Bruce Brown's essentially the point guard. I just don't understand the lack of common sense to change it. I don't get it. Tyrese Halliburton +1 to an 87. Miles Turner +1 to an 83. Ben Mathurin +1 to an 81. And then Buddy Hield +1 to an 80. Now Mathurin will no longer be the 6th man. He will start in my career, and then Buddy Hield is the 6th man because of the ratings fluctuation. +1 for Isaiah Jackson. Jalen Smith. Actually, no, Isaiah Jackson did not change. Excuse me. Jalen Smith changed -1, and then O'Shea Brissett goes -1 to a 74. Andrew Nemhard gets a position change to a 70, or a shooting guard. He should be higher than a 72, in my opinion, because he's starting and playing well. Going over to the New Orleans Pelicans, I don't understand how Zion gets an update. He goes +1 to an 88, right? But he hasn't played. He's been out. But they update CJ McCollum correctly, -1 to an 84, because he struggled except for the last 2 games. Larry Nance goes +1 to a 77. Devontae Graham gets a position change to shooting guard. No drop for Jackson Hayes. Seems like the controller mic. Oh, yeah, good call, Razor. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Let me do that. I thank you, and it's right in front of me, and I did not update it. I appreciate that. Let's see if can you guys hear me now? Hopefully that's better. Well, where is that at? Najee Marshall gets position changed to power forward. He was previously at shooting guard. He goes -1 to a 75. Dyson Daniels gets a +1 to a 74 overall. This is another update that baffles me. So Cade Cunningham was struggling shooting, right, before he got hurt. He doesn't get touched. They do update the position for Bojan Bogdanovic to small forward, power forward. Sadiq Bey also gets updated to power forward, small forward. Jaden Ivey goes +1 to a 79. Isaiah Stewart does get an update. He goes +1, but they should have updated his position to power forward because Bagley is actually the center now on the team. So I'm just interested why that didn't get changed. Jalen Duren goes +1 to a 76. Nerlens Noel -1 to a 75. Hamidou Diallo. I thought that he would get a further update in this one because he has come around to put him back in line. Not much of an increase. Let's see if it changes. Let's see if I can change it. Let's see. Won't let me change it. It looks like because I'll have to back out of it because it won't add the new mic for whatever reason. So that's my fault for this one. Corey Joseph, update for him. He gets a position change to point guard, shooting guard. Killian Hayes somehow goes down despite having increased play. He goes with 70 overall. This is one of the ones that 2K just refuses to look at and update accordingly. They won't do it. I just don't understand why, but it is what it is. Toronto Raptors, Fred VanVleet goes +1 to an 84. Scotty Barnes -1 to an 84. OG Anunoby +2 to an 83. Gary Trent Jr. still no update to his defensive consistency despite being a 35. Chris Boucher gets an increase +2 to a 78. Precious Achua goes +2 to a 77. We've got Delano Banton +2 to a 76. And then Thaddeus Young goes +2 to a 76. Going over to the Houston Rockets, Jalen Green, +2 to an 84, +1 for Alfred Sengun, and then Kevin Porter Jr. Sengun goes to an 80, Porter Jr. to a 79. Tari Eason, +1 to a 77, +1 for Kenyon Martin Jr. to a 76. Jabari Smith Jr. drops 3 to a 75, -1 for Josh Christopher. And then Dayshawn Nix goes +2 to a 69 overall. Spurs. No update for Jeremy Sohan, however you say it, Sohan. No update for him, oddly. I mentioned Doug McDermott earlier as one of the guys that always goes down whenever there's something to update for the Spurs. He goes -1 to a 74. Josh Richardson, -2 to a 75. Katie Bates Shop, I mentioned as well. He always goes up anytime there's something to change on the Spurs. +1 for him to a 75. Trey Jones finally goes up. He goes +3 to a 77. Jakob Poeltl barely gets an update. +1 to a 79, despite being one of the better centers in the NBA. Devin Vassell, one of the biggest movers on the team, +4. Or in this update, rather, to an 83 overall. Keldon Johnson goes +1 to an 84. -1 for DeAndre Ayton to an 83. Cam Payne gets an update. He goes to +1 to a 77. Just have to fix something. Got to double check my notes. 76 overall. Was updated for Torrey Craig. He's now playing a lot of minutes at power forward. Jock Landale goes +2 to a 75. Landry Shamet goes -1 to a 73. And then no other changes. I thought Dwayne Washington Jr. would be able to go up a point or so since he's been playing well, but no update for him. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander +1 to a 90 overall. I don't know how he is not higher than a 90 overall. Basically 4 straight games of 30 points plus. Lou Dort +1 to a 78 overall. +2 for Alexei Pokashevsky to a 77. +1 for Darius Baisley to a 76. Also got a position change to power forward. Jeremiah Robinson Earl +2 to a 75. We've got Aaron Wiggins, position change to shooting guard. Ousmane Dieng, position change to small forward. Jalen Williams, no update to overall, but he gets a position change to small forward. And then that's it for the team. I thought Eugene Amarui would have gotten a little bit of a bump along with Isaiah Joe, since they've been in the rotation lately. So they would have gotten a small little bump, but they did not. Over to the Minnesota Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards down 1 to an 85 overall. Kyle Anderson goes +2 to a 78 overall. He's another one that 2K values super high and doesn't like to drop. So as soon as he dropped last week, I knew it was coming that he was going to go back up. +1 for Jalen Noel to a 77. +1 for Naz Reid to a 76. -1 for Taurean Prince to a 75. And that's and they added AJ Lawson on a 2-way contract. Now, here's where my rant starts. So you got the Portland Trailblazers. They're the first place team in the West, right? Jeremy Grant gets no update despite averaging 27 points a game over the last 6 games. He's been playing phenomenal for them, and he gets no update. Anthony Simons gets no update despite averaging 22 points on the season, and he still has a 79 stamina in the game. But Josh Hart goes -2 to a 78. Drew Eubanks, who's been a backup, playing like a backup this year, gets a +2 to a 77. Nasir Little gets a +1 and a position change. He's now a power forward, and he gets a +1 to a 77. Shaden Sharp gets +1 to a 75. Justice Winslow gets no update to his overall, despite being phenomenal over the last 6 games. He's been injured for the last 2, but 4 out of those 6 games, he was great. And he gets position change to small forward, but no overall update. Trendon Watford gets a position change to power forward. Jabari Walker does get an update, ratings-wise, +2 to a 70. Even though he's been playing more power forward, but that's fine. He's kind of a combo forward, so that's not a big deal, leaving him there. My second rant is looking at the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry's been killing it. That's well-deserved that he goes up to a 97 +1. But no update for Poole, Green, or Thompson. All 3 are an 83 overall. Thompson has stunk on defense all season. He's not been consistent on offense. He's played, he just hasn't been good. Draymond Green's dropped defensively. Jordan Poole's been inconsistent. None of these guys dropping it overall at all. You cannot tell me that 2K is not biased towards the Golden State Warriors. But yet, James Wiseman has stunk, and he's in the G League for the next 10 games minimum. And he goes up in overall. I don't understand how you go +1 to a 77 with James Wiseman, but then you don't update Thompson, Green, or Poole. Ty Jerome goes up +3 to a 75. That's fine since he's been playing well. Jonathan Kuminga goes down. Kuminga has been terrible. So you drop Kuminga -2 to a 74, but you don't touch Clay, Draymond, or Jordan Poole. Are you scared that they're going to call you out on social media? Is that what this is? I don't get it. Klay Thompson still has 87 mid-range and an 88 3. And he's been awful shooting it. His defensive ratings. Look at his defensive ratings. 87 perimeter defense, 85 help defense, 86 pass perception, 85 defensive consistency, 95 defensive consistency for Draymond Green, 93 in help defense. 93 in interior defense, 86 on the perimeter. These guys are not elite defenders this year. Why are they rated like that? Because 2K does not change defense or athleticism ratings. I'm tired of not calling it like it is. I'm not bashing 2K. I'm just constructive criticism. If you're going to update some players on a team, update the entire team across the board. Athletic ratings, defensive ratings, and offensive ratings. If you're going to do a ratings update, you've got to be consistent for everyone. Dante DiVincenzo goes -2 to a 74. JaMychal Green goes -1 to a 74. And then Anthony Lamb, the biggest mover, +5 to a 73. Lamb has been in the consistent rotation. He's been playing well. But it just irks me that you don't update these guys to get them in line, proper ratings. You could have dropped these both by 2, Poole, like you could have dropped by 2. Everybody here should have been at 81 easily. At minimum, drop them down 1 point. At minimum, but they should be 2. James Wiseman should be a 74. There's no reason James Wiseman went up. He hasn't done anything on the court. Washington Wizards. Somehow, some way, they don't update Kyle Kuzma, but he's been killing it. Like, I don't get it. Kyle Kuzma has essentially averaged 20 and 9. Like, how's he not getting an update? Monte Morris goes down -1, but Daniel Gafford goes +1. That's another one they always update. You can count on it. If he goes down 1, by the next update, he's going up 1. Like, Will Barton has struggled. Like, he should have gone down. Rui Hachimura has played great. He should have went up. He's averaging 12 off the bench on 47% shooting in only 23 minutes, and he can't go up to a 77, 78. You know, it just doesn't make sense to me. But Johnny Davis has been one of the worst rookies by far, and he's still rated a 74. And Vernon Carey can't even get out of the G League, and he's a 73. But then they can, so it's not like they can't see that they needed to be updated, because Jordan Goodwin was way down at a 66, and now he's updated to a 73. So you can update them, you know, when you want to, but you don't pay attention to all the teams. It just doesn't make sense to me. He gets a position change, Jordan Goodwin does, the point guard. But, man, these just got to be better. Like, and I hate to be critical, like, because I always try to find a positive somewhere, because we're all, like, human and we all make mistakes. But at the end of the day, it just doesn't make sense that you can miss on the biggest gripes I have out of this entire update. No Jeremy Grant, no Anthony Simons update. And then nothing for the Warriors here. How do you not update them, these two teams, based on the Warriors 0-8 at home, and then Portland in first place in the entire Western Conference? Will it last? Probably not. But at the end of the day, update accordingly. Their star has been Jeremy Grant. And then Anthony Simons has been basically the third guy and has been killing it in that role. At least get him an update to an 82. Jeremy Grant should have been an 85 easily, without even batting an eye. I just don't get it. You know, I'm going to clean up my notes and repost them on Operation Sports, because there's a couple guys that I missed to take out that were in the last update that actually didn't get updated in this update, so I want to clean that up so it's accurate. But, man, you can't feel great if you're a Portland fan on this update, for sure. Just wanted to go through real quick while I'm live on stream to show you guys the all-time teams, in case anybody asked. There's no update to add or run our test. There's no update to the player faces. Let's see. Let's just double check, everybody. No update for Oliver Miller, despite being in the patch notes previously. It's a joke at this point. No updated render for Raja Bell on either the Mavericks or the 76ers. So anybody that was expecting any updates there, just forget it at this point. Like, I'll believe it when I see it. When there's going to be an update, like I've been told numerous times, oh, like an update's coming, like just hang tight and all that stuff, man. Whoever's working on the historic rosters isn't paying attention, plain and simple, or they just don't give a shit. Like whichever one however you want to classify it. Like you could sit there and give them so many patch notes, and say, hey, here's feedback. This is what should be changed. Whatever. Make it super easy, and it just doesn't matter. Like John Long still doesn't have his updated face, despite it being available in the MyNBA eras. Like, I just don't get it. Like, we go over to the MyNBA era, I'll do that just to show you that nothing's been updated. I already checked. So, no Ron Artest on the Pacers. No Ruben Patterson on the Portland Trailblazers. Yeah, I mean, you might as well forget it if you think that they're going to update anything like quickly as far as these go. They're my NBA, or they're my team exclusive, I guess. And who knows when they get added, if they get added this year. It's very frustrating, to be honest, because those that don't want to play those modes basically get cheated out of getting those players, despite those players, being key parts of the team. Like, I just don't understand why they can't add them in, quicker. But I'm not the roster guys for, those modes and make those decisions. So, it is what it is, but, I don't know. But yeah, definitely, I guess you could say, people will highlight Embiid got updated. The Knicks with Jalen Brunson, De'Aaron Fox, Lauri Markkanen. Like, those guys were, I guess, the biggest movers of like, the big names. But it's just so frustrating to see, like, Jeremy Grant not updated, and the Portland Trailblazers getting any kind of love in that area. And then the Warriors just continually being overinflated. Like, it's homerism at this point. Like, there's no way around it. Like, Draymond, Clay, those guys, why they make sense. Like, or they speak out, so it makes sense on why 2K is hesitant to remove them or move them down. Like, because they're going to get called out on it. And then they're going to get pressured, and then they'll go right back up in rating. So they just don't change them. And it's super frustrating. You can't say you have accurate ratings and all that stuff and everything when those things are happening. But hope everybody enjoyed this update video. It is what it is. Like I said, I'm going to post the change log, an updated one on Operation Sports. So if you want to see the written form of who went up and down, look for that. I'm sure, the Real 2K Insider will chime in with updated badges, stuff like that, which is always a big help because I don't look at badges and the individual attributes. So he should have that info probably in the same thread. So look for that. But thanks, everybody. If you liked the video, sorry for the bad mic quality. Thanks, Razor, for letting me know I did not plug in my mic. It's been a long week. Just been busy with work. So super tired, not sleeping well. That's what'll happen whenever you are sleep deprived. It is what it is. But hope everybody enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Hopefully going to be back at some point next week. Maybe try to do like a stream or two during the week. We'll have limited time because my son is off from school all week, so don't know how much content streaming I can get in, but the next large video that I'll probably have will be the patch the following week, player likenesses and stuff like that. So look out for that. Hopefully some small videos maybe in between. If I can get something out over the weekend, I will, with the simulation of the MyNBA for the 2022-2023 season. I've been wanting to do that, just haven't had the time. So thanks everybody for watching. Take it easy, and I'll talk to you next time.